Hey guys, and welcome back. I'm the Doodling Princess Shina, and today I wanted to talk about I Am Not Starfire. So back when it first came out, me and Dazzling Kate read the whole comic on our channel during a live stream, and I hated it. Now I need to clear one thing up before we get into this. I don't usually read comics. I love DC and Marvel, but I grew up with the cartoons and the movies, not the comics. And as much as I love the characters from both DC and Marvel, I'm too lazy to get into comics. I think it's just too messy to get into them. Which is probably why I like manga if I read anything of that sort. Anyways, these new comics they are coming out with are supposedly targeted towards people who don't really read comics and are supposed to be a starting off point. But if this is what they are going to be making, they will not get anywhere. I haven't read any of the other books like this one, but this one was so damn try-hard. If you don't know anything about this comic, lucky you. I would say keep it that way because this isn't a good read at all. The main character of this story is Mandy, Starfire's teenage daughter. The story is supposed to be about Mandy living as a normal teenage girl, going to school, and dealing with living with a superhero parent. The problem is, this isn't what happens. Mandy's bitter, hateful, and nasty. She's the you don't understand mom type of teenager. I get teenagers can be like this in real life, but it gets tiring in a comic. All you want to do is grab her and tell her to shut the fuck up. She could easily fix most of her problems in this book by just talking to people. Starfire is trying her best, and yet Mandy just shuts her down. Every single time. Her stupid reason for being mad at Claire could have been easily fixed by just talking to her. If you haven't read it yet, here's your spoiler warning now. Claire came over to work on their assignment, and the Titans were just leaving Mandy's house, so she took a selfie with them. And when Mandy finds out, she's pissed and stops talking to her. I get Mandy doesn't like the fame the Titans have, but seriously, this is the dumbest forced drama just to have drama between the two. Even though Claire claimed it was a dare by her friend, how did she know they were even there? Mandy didn't even know. And Claire also said she did think they were cool. Why couldn't she have just taken the selfie because she happened to be a fan? She didn't know about the stupid hatred Mandy had for fans of the Titans. Lincoln had to tell her, and oh look, she feels bad when she finds out. Speaking of Claire, Mandy doesn't deserve her. Claire isn't much of a character, but she seems nice enough. When she started showing interest in Mandy, I was yelling for her to run. You know you fucked up when people aren't rooting for your main couple to get together. There is no build up to it outside of Mandy having a crush, but Claire just out of nowhere starts to like her. Yeah, this happens in real life too, but no one cares in a story. There needs to be build up, there needs to be a connection the reader can latch onto. There isn't anything in this, just badly written romance and characters. Especially the characters. 3 of the main characters are the worst, Mandy being the worst written character of them all. Like I said before, she is bitter, hateful, and nasty. She is always whining about her mom not understanding her. There are like 3 flashbacks that are supposed to make you understand why she's like she is, but they honestly put me off of her more. The one with her growing up is supposed to show how she is bullied because of who her mom is, but outside of talking about who her dad could be in front of her, none of this comes off as bullying. And even by then, she already started turning into her hateful self. So I don't think that's what caused her to become who she is. What seemed to make her bitter was kids chanting fly while she was on top of a slide and asking if she had any powers. Like her mom is Starfire and they are little kids. That isn't that bad. It's pretty normal for kids to do that kind of stuff, even in the real world. The other kids used to believe me when I said I was a witch, and they used to call me a vampire because I had sharp fangs. So imagine if superheroes were real. That would just be some normal shit on the playground. And it also isn't too believable that these kids would mess with a kid that they think has powers, and definitely not a kid with a famous parent. They would befriend her, and if they went with that instead, had people befriend her and she slowly realizing that they were all just befriending her because of her mom and the Titans, or use her for the powers that they believe she had, that would be fine. It would be believable and make Claire's selfie seem more like a betrayal. But we don't get that. Just no one understands me and I hate everyone. Even her reasoning for not wanting to go to college and move to France is non-existent. There's nothing that makes you feel or understand her. The next character that is just horrible is Lincoln. They did not do a good job on his character at all. I had to read his lines, and every time he started that shit, I would try to crawl out of my skin and didn't want to keep reading. It drove me nuts. This isn't how teenagers talk, even woke ones. It's just annoying. His personality also seems all over the place, like with the Claire thing. He goes from trying to see her side and calm Mandy down to siding with Mandy and being mad at Claire later in the book. Like, if he would have just explained to Claire without being an asshole to her, it would at least feel more consistent. But no, instead, when Claire comes looking for Mandy, he's just bitchy to her for no reason. Acting like her selfie was so horrible, and what she did to Mandy was all on purpose. Like, she knew it would hurt Mandy, even though earlier he basically said Claire probably didn't know and didn't mean anything by it. The last one is Starfire. I think they were going off the Teen Titans, or maybe the Teen Titans Go version of her character. Just turning her into a ditzy character with no understanding of how things work on Earth, even though she more than likely would after living on Earth for so long. They also seem to make her out like she's a well-meaning parent, but at the same time, she's not? I don't know what they were trying to do with her. She seemed to care for her daughter, and seems to be trying her best, but at the same time, she supposedly was disappointed in the fact that her daughter didn't have powers, and is the reason for Mandy's distance from Starfire. I honestly couldn't figure out what was going on with her character. She also apparently never told Mandy about her past, and when Blackfire comes in, it almost seemed like she wanted Mandy to be a normal human. There are some other things that pointed to this as well, but it seemed more clear at this point. So I don't understand this whole thing between the two, and it makes it seem even more like all of this is just in Mandy's head. That if she would just talk to somebody, none of this would be a thing. There's also this running thing throughout about who her dad is, and they try so hard to keep it a mystery, but they very heavily imply by the end that it's Nightwing. Which, if it is true, they aren't just ruining Starfire's character, but his as well. Because I do not see Nightwing, and it seems like he knows Mandy is his, not being in his kid's life. And I don't mean coming over sometimes like in this book, I mean actually being in her life, and making it clear he's her dad. And the people that wrote this could not have known the Teen Titans and who they are. It really feels like the only thing they have seen of these characters is Teen Titans Go, which is some of the worst versions of these characters. And on the note of who her dad is, her appearance makes no sense. I get they wanted to make a comic based on a fat character, but if you look at her parents and then at her, nothing about her makes sense. First of all, she seems to have been a chubby child even at a very young age, which I guess could happen, but with their family history, doesn't seem like a thing that runs in the family. So unless she is just not an active kid and eating all the wrong things, the only thing that makes sense is her genetics. But putting the weight thing aside, the thing that bothers me the most about her appearance is her height. Both her parents are so tall and somehow they had a kid this short. I'm sorry, but I don't see it. Even if Nightwing isn't her father and her father is some super short guy, she still wouldn't be that damn short compared to her mom. Another thing I don't understand, and maybe this is the art style, is why they made her look so ugly. It's almost like they went out of their way to make her look unpleasant. And I get she's got this vibe of I'm not like other girls, or as she puts it, the anti-Starfire. But my god, why make her look like this? Comics at the end of the day are a visual medium, and most people would rather look at a nicer looking character and not this. Oh, while we're on the topic of art, it's not the most pretty thing to look at. Just like Mandy, it seems like they went out of their way to make these characters unpleasant to look at. Like, Starfire is known for her beauty, and yet she looks like this in the comic. Why? Why does she look like this? Or look at what they did to the rest of the Titans. Or Blackfire. This looks like the definition of Tumblr art. I get art is subjective, but for me, this isn't something I would willingly read. I need an art style I can at least stand, otherwise I can't do it. It's why I've never watched JoJo or made it far into One Piece. Say what you want, but these are visual mediums, and that means part of the experience is through the art style. So if you don't care about that kind of thing or don't mind the art style, that's fine. This is just my opinion, and in my opinion, the art style isn't it. It feels sloppy in some places, and the lineless style feels unfinished at times, like they didn't have the time or care to add more details. And if this was a one-person job, that would be different, but this is made by a team of professionals. Also, the writing in this feels like someone threw a script together and no one bothered to look at it. Or more like the rough draft got mixed up with the final and no one caught it. Because the characters are surface level, trying to be deep, and the Titans are barely there or recognizable. The romance is poorly written fanfic at best. There is no build-up, no chemistry between them, and it feels forced. If you want a couple to work, there needs to be something there. I still can't figure out what Claire sees in Mandy, and the high school parts feel so out of touch, especially the talk of college. Like, everyone is judging Mandy for not going and trying to talk her into it. Even other kids. I get teachers and maybe your parents will try to push it, but Lincoln, some random guy Starfire was on a date with, Claire, and even Claire's friends, who don't like Mandy, all seem like they are trying to talk her into going or asking why she's not going. They didn't even give a good reason why Mandy didn't want to go. It's all just so surface level. The ending being the worst of all. I understand the comic isn't an action-focused comic, but my god, when Blackfire comes in and wants to fight Mandy, trust me, it's for a very stupid reason, and takes out Starfire finally feeling a little in character and wanting to protect her child, Mandy just out of nowhere finally gets powers. That's right, this comic all about a normal girl of a superhero gets powers. All that crap from before is now meaningless, and why this all feels so surface level. And what's better is, after just getting these powers, she takes out Blackfire without any struggle. Seriously, she just takes one Starbolt and then just destroys Blackfire with ease. Like, what is this? There is no true struggle in anything that is going on. And the ending? Oh my god. After shitting on the fans of the Titans and her mom, hating her mom's fame, and wanting nothing to do with any of it the whole book, she gets powers and magically she changes her tune. She has people wanting her autograph, doing interviews, and becoming a hero herself. It's such a cheap ending. Why couldn't she just have learned how to accept her mom while still being a normal person? It's like she gets these powers and everything is just fine now. It just leaves a bad taste in your mouth after having to deal with this annoying character the whole time. She didn't really learn anything at all. She was a brat and still got what she wanted. She really doesn't deserve any of it. None of it feels earned at all. But that was the I Am Not Starfire. An empty story that is not worth reading. The characters all suck except for Claire, and she was just okay. The story really could have gone through some more rewrites, and the art is eh. But seriously, unless you just really want to read it for yourself, just pass it up. It's not worth it, I promise. Oh, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Bye!